shared consciousness mean? Well, it means that you can speak telepathically first with each other, and telepathically is, again, you can just think something and they'll think back, and it's like almost you're like your own thought. But you'll know it's not your own thought because it's going to come so fast you think you couldn't have possibly thought of it by yourself, and that's how it happens. Also, the shared consciousness means that you will start to feel what the other is feeling. If they're feeling depressed, you might feel depressed. If they're feeling up, you might feel up, happy, giddy, painful, blue. Your emotions will often find yourself in the same situations in life if you're incarnated together. If they're going through a court case, let's say, you might also be going through a court case or a difficult period in your life. You're going to find it harder to decipher who came up with an idea first. There will be times that you think that that person came up with the idea after you did, or vice versa. And an example of shared consciousness in our mass consciousness and mass society is in the movie called What Dreams May Come, and we're going to take a look at what that shared consciousness looks like.
Right here. Like this. Say we live in our minds anyway. Having you with me, like this, keeps me happy. Why do I believe you can hear me? Why do I think you can see this?
What's that purple tree? I never saw that.
Well, let's take a look. Think you can get there in 8 seconds?
8 seconds? Over there. Yeah, I just need a little incentive. I can fly. Why not? I can do what I want, right?
Well, I think you'd be more comfortable keeping it real. Think of running real fast like the Road Runner. Okay?
I can handle this. Adios, muchacho. It's completely new. The canvas was blank, no line. How can I see this drawing after I'm dead? For an expert, you look pretty surprised.
You and Annie alone courtship?
No, actually. From the very first moment, it was like...
Soulmate. It's extremely rare, but it exists. Sort of like twin souls tuned into each other. Apparently even in death. You're reaching each other through a painting. It's
beautiful analogy of the shared consciousness, and what we need to do to get there is to work through these layers of tar, these layers of misqualified energy that we put upon ourselves in this lifetime and other lifetimes. Excuse me, and there are methods of working through this tar. And we want to do this because, as you can see from this diagram here, there are layers of our aura that extend around our bodies that the tar is stored in. So if I put a bunch of dirt in here, you can just visualize, it's not going to let a lot of light through, so I need to clean up my act here. I need to clean up the aura. And there's a couple different ways to do that. And before we can get to that, we have to understand where it came from, right? So we said this misqualified energy, or this dirt that's in our fields of energy, is from this lifetime and other lifetimes. And it includes our karma, the stuff that we got to go through and fix before we can get it done and out of our field. So let's take Michael Jackson, for instance. He had a past life as Mozart. Now, he was reincarnated into the same set of life circumstances that he needed to overcome, which is very common. He had the same overbearing father. He has the same personality traits as he did in that lifetime. He held the same vocation as he did in that lifetime, and he had the same will to do God's work in both lifetimes. In both lifetimes, he had the same death circumstances. As Mozart, he was working on the Requiem, as his life is on, in this particular incarnation, he was working on the This Is It performances in his life. Both lifetimes he was murdered for great, both lifetimes facing the same kind of circumstances. So what does that mean? It means that represented in that lifetime and repeating, he would need to adhere to what was repeating in his lifetime that he needed to overcome. These are challenges or lessons that he needed to overcome. So, for instance, he had an overbearing father, karmic relationships with his family, and fulfilling a mission to serve in both lifetimes. So, in this lifetime, he fired his dad as his manager in 1979 and moved out away from his family to begin healing around 1988. He also had the mission to serve and started with that with the Heal the World Foundation in 1992. Prior to the creation of the Heal the World Foundation, Michael also expressed great interest in humanitarianism, equality, and world peace. All of these are traits of coming into the Christ consciousness or your higher self or higher consciousness. So you're doing away with your karma, and at the same time you're transcending yourself into a position of service to the planet. So what is the path? Part of the path is healing our patterns, the patterns of our past, and that includes recognizing what those patterns are, the patterns of our emotions, the mental processes of last lifetimes and this lifetime, and then healing them. Now, we can allow those patterns to rise through different methods like yoga and meditation, massage to stimulate the lymph nodes and clear out our physical energies, and our work on the four lower bodies. Now, there's particular methods that I would like to work with in Man in the Mirror project that I'll be presenting later. But there are methods that I like to use to work through these layers of built-up substance, our substance that tend to dim our light, that really, don't allow us to get to our higher self. Part of those methods is the yoga. Yoga actually breaks down physically stuck energies. It's not just stretching, but it's like a rubber band. If you stretch a rubber band, it actually extends the molecules away from one another, so those energies can be released. Meditation also allows deep-seated emotions and kind of your thoughts to come to the surface. Contemplation allows you to bring that consciousness to the patterns that are present in your life in order for them to be cleared. And you also can use a violet flame, which is a visualization that has come from Saint Germain. Now, Saint Germain is featured on the bottom of this slide. And he is one of the ascended masters and the divine director of the seventh ray, which is actually the coming of this seventh golden age. He's kind of like the head honcho guy. He also has suspension of the violet flame. He's brought this for humanity to use to transmute our negative energies. One of the greatest and most useful quotes is from Jesus was to know thyself. And in knowing knowing yourself, this is what's going to bring you into your higher self. Once that happens, you use the violet flame, you do yoga, you start working on yourself. You're going to start remembering past lives because you're starting to clear your energy. So now you're coming into union, you're remembering things from the past that you had in before. When that happens, you're also going to be initiated and tested. And some of the tests are going to be from your own creative substances that you sent out from yourself out into the universe coming back to you. There may be dark forces opposed to the union. Remember, their union is in creation and it's going back to a very potent force of light energy. So a lot of times, like this negative side, they don't want that light on the planet. So we're probably going to be tests that are going to be thrown your way that from people or forces that don't want the union to occur. The nice thing about it, though, is that most of the unions will be under divine guidance and sponsorship. And you will have inspiration and direction from guidance of spiritual nature to help your journey come to completion. What are some of the pitfalls and things to look out for? Well, the biggest thing is not to try to fit the relationship into the mold of society. You don't have to marry the person. You don't have to be bonded to serve your mission. You can still live in different countries if you want to, because you still can connect at a soul level and still be doing your work together. This is one relationship that won't serve you like a traditional model of love in our society, so don't look for that. Don't look for the payoff in the relationship. Look for what you can give to the relationship. Now, as you shift your consciousness and your energy gets lighter, some people will drop from your life, even those that have maybe been close to you for years. It simply means that your energy is shifting to a higher consciousness. If they aren't entering into that higher consciousness, you're going to feel uncomfortable. You're not going to be resonating at the same energy level anymore. So don't be afraid to move forward. Now, your test may include other impersonators. Most twin flames have the consciousness to allow the other to grow. So no one's going to come up to you and say, I'm your twin flame. A dark side might try to seduce you into believing something else. So you're going to have to learn, most likely, discernment on the path in a spiritual sense, and use that as you transition up. The key to transitioning into a higher consciousness is not only consistency, being consistent in what you're doing, what you're seeing, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, checking inward, but also a longing for union with God. Sometimes people will long for their twin flame soulmate and lose their path for union with themselves first, and it actually just prolongs the process. So it really is a love and communion with God first, and then the twin flame is kind of like the cherry on top. Now, if you're not in a union or you don't know who your twin flame soulmate is, there is a prayer for union that you can come into union on your inner level. And I have that here in the name of the Christ. I call to my blessing. I am present of our twin flames for the sealing of our hearts as one. I invoke the light of the Holy Spirit for the consumption of all negative karma, eliminate the full expression of our divine identity for the fulfillment of our divine plan. And in this way, you can come into union on an inner level before you actually meet, or if your twin flame is in a higher sphere, you can actually connect with them by reciting this prayer. In summary, this twin flame union is not for the light of heart. It's a very difficult path, something that you have to actually work towards. And it's difficult because it has a higher calling to it. If it wasn't so difficult, everyone would be there. Everyone would be with their perfect love. The call is for service, and its answer will always be love.